Just 1 second, a little bit of a technical difficulties here. Give me 1 second. Doc, I muted you.
Oops. Sorry.
All right. We are so excited for this wonderful opportunity to be able to join with those that are on our Zoom, as well as those who are on our Facebook Live. So we are excited to be able to come to you guys. My name is Dr. Lakita, and we are happy to be able to be on both things at this moment in time. You know, in some of our lives, we're 125% technology. So technology takes us over, and all the nuances of technology takes us over as well. But we are grateful to be here. So during the month of March, we are highlighting a variety of different women from across the country about them being everyday history makers. And what that means to me is being able to highlight people that are not just doing something and being able to say they're doing it because they are women, but it is because we are highlighting them because they are actually making a difference in their communities as well as in their own personal lives. And tonight we get the wonderful opportunity to interview Miss Cathy Adams. In just a few moments, Brenda Moppins is going to share a little bit of a backdrop of Miss Cathy Adams so that we can learn more information about her. Do me a favor. I want you to listen intently as well as intentionally about the information that you're going to get. As is my custom, I desire that you are empowered, inspired, and most importantly, that this particular event is a call to action, that you would do something with what you have learned. So sit tight, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. Brenda?
Hello, everyone. I am honored to present the bio for the Miss Cathy Adams. First, I would like to say is the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce has appointed Cathy Adams its president and chief executive officer. Adams, the founder of CDA Consulting Group, an events management company, brings more than 25 years of extensive experience and knowledge in marketing, branding, community outreach, and project management. OAACC said in a statement, as the new president and CEO, Adams plans to advocate for African American owned businesses through mentorship, leadership, development, and business solutions. By leveraging her relationships with the media, community leaders, and major corporations, Adams will provide members more access to resources and support. She says the OAAC We'll provide technical assistance, access to capital, branding workshops, wealth management, business, banking, certification workshops, and ways to increase business revenue. Adams insists our business is your business, and our monthly Let's Connect will give an opportunity for members to dialogue about individual needs. Adams started her career as a Jackson State College intern, with her first 8-year chamber experience under the direction of the late Oscar J. Coffey Jr., founder of the Northern California Black Chamber of Commerce. She served as chief intern of international protocol for the city of Oakland. Her company organized the dedication of Frank Ogawa Plaza and continuously hosts community and political fundraising events. Since 1999, she has produced more than 21 Madam C.J. Walker Business Community and Recognition Award luncheons that have featured nationally known celebrities and opinion makers. Among her many accomplishments, Adam is currently the founding president emeritus of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Incorporation, founder of the Powerful Women of the Bay Area Awards, a founding member of the San Francisco Museum of the African Diaspora, MOAD, and the former commissioner of the Alameda County Commission on the Status of Women. She is an active member at Beebe Memorial Cathedral Church in Oakland. Adams says she looks forward to serving OAACC under the direction of Chairwoman Shonda Scott. She wants to partner with the Post News Group to encourage new memberships. Amazing, Cathy. We are so happy to have you.
I'm I'm excited to be here. It's always so weird for me because when you're an event planner and people start reading about you, they said, "Oh my goodness." But thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
So, Miss Cathy, we are so elated that you're here that we did a little bit of digging so we can find out and have some fun stories to share with our audience that's looking across the country. So, one of the things that I absolutely love about women leadership is where they come from and how do they get started. So, I read a story about you being around about the age between 8 to 10 years old and you used to have a group of friends that would come to your house and they were complaining about you always wanting to be their mother, or that you thought that you were their mother. And what you did was you slipped off your friends being in your house and you went to go talk to your mother and ask your mother for a loan. You got a loan for a few bucks and went to the store, all of this while the kids were still there, went to the store, bought a bunch of suckers, came back, gave them suckers, and them thinking, oh, a nice gesture. They got the suckers, opened it up, started licking, and then you said these words. Now, who's the mama?
Can't believe.
And let me tell you, that thing blessed my spirit when I read that story. I said, you the mama. I read it over and over. You are the mama. They said, you the mama. You can play the mama. And so I thought to myself,
I can't believe you still remember that.
about
Wow.
it. So it was amazing to hear that story. So we're just I just laugh still even today. So let me just start off. The first question is, when you hear that story and you realize that you had that kind of mindset, that you're not trying to be the boss, because they were like, you're trying to boss us, well, and all this kind of stuff, but essentially you like, I'm about to show you. And that really is your appetite, that is your energy. You've always been a person, you won't do a whole lot of talking. Before we look up, you got the whole politicians opening up a museum of Black diaspora, so you're a doer. So tell us, Miss Cathy, what was instilled in you at that early age to be that kind of way?
Well, it's so funny that you would say that. And I would like to say that it was more like the art of persuasion. And if you take that story and kind of utilize it like today, they were in my backyard. They were getting ready to leave because they said, if you can't be the mama, we leaving out your backyard. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. Don't leave. So being able to get that there was an art of persuasion. And I waited until they started licking the sucker before I said, who's the mama? So basically, what do they say? You can catch a lot more bees with honey. So when we think
Yes.
about that, when we're at the table, when we're working with women and we're working with each other, you don't have to get your toys and go away. What you do is the key word now today is around collectiveness, a collective. So, because plenty of times, and often people say that, and I don't buy into that. Well, the Black sisters can't work together. No, 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 no. That is not true because we're changing the mindset that if we're all at the table, we all can win and carving out what piece we're going to do to work together. Because I'm gonna make it plain. Nobody is gonna work with you if you're not contributing. And the good news is that we all possess something. We all can bring something to the table. When you meeting, somebody gotta go get the food because we're gonna be meeting all night. Everybody have some value. And I think what is critical in all of this, because we do have to think about how we want to move the needle, but you can never forget how we treat each other and that act of kindness, to let because I tell people it's not the work, it's our attitudes. The work is easy. I enjoy going to work every day. I enjoy what I do. But yeah, you threw me off with that story. But I've always been that way when you talk about where it starts. Sometimes it can start later, and that's why it's so important that everything that you can grab, whatever that little nugget when you're going up, it doesn't matter how you grew up, where you came from. It's where you are right now, and what are you going to do right now? And then you have to ask yourself, what do I want my story to be? So no matter how I do it, I don't do it alone. And the more you give, it's going to come back. And it's just a good feeling to know that, well, it's a good feeling for me that I know that I will never lose the passion, definitely not lose, my faith, and just understand in those trying times that no matter what happens, I'm bringing sisters with me.
Mhm.
You may go kicking and scratching, but it's like we're gonna get you out of your head and we're gonna get you where you need to be. And
And,
that's
and
what this whole piece is about.
and and you've always been that way. And so when I look back, to be honest, and I thought about the story, I think I read the story like 25 times as I was trying to get all this information up about who you are and what you are, etc. And I realized that is the energy that you have, that is the way that you move, that is you've always been about grabbing a sister, and a sister is not necessarily a Black woman, it could just be a woman, like, put your chin up, sis, we got work to do. And you've been that way across the line. Latinas, I've watched you with our Asian sisters, you brought them in contracts, you brought them in, I've watched you do that. And so as you were talking, let me ask a follow-up question, and then Brenda has some questions that she was interested in some information on. You're now in another phase of your life, and you've seen the trajectory from where you started to where you are. If you were speaking to a young Cathy Adams, is there anything you would tell her to do differently?
Well, the
That's good.
only thing that I think that I would tell myself what I would do differently, because I can tell you this, and it's okay for me to date myself. Moving to California, right when I got ready to do my internship, um, my passion, and I was very talkative, but I still can hear at the rate that I'm moving. Because some people think you talking, you're not listening, but I can tell you what you said when you said it, what you had on, what you were doing when you said it. Because I'm an event planner, so my mind locks into logistical pieces. So when you ask the question, what would I tell myself to do differently? I would have made an earlier start to invest more in myself, have an opportunity. If I had done it at the time differently, bought additional property, did something else different that way. But when I look at the 21-year-old, how I started, everything was about connecting, everything was about volunteering. Everything that I did on that trajectory is how I got to this seat right now.
Mm,
So when you start
Yes.
talking about what would I change, and
mhm,
here's the other good news when you say, Dr. Lakita, when you ask the question, what would I do differently? We can all go back and say, how would we do something differently? But my mind is so wired to everything that I went through, even the bad things or bad relationships. I wouldn't be where I am now had not experienced. Now I'm telling you guys, if I've experienced and I share up the story, I need you to learn from my story. Don't you go do it. So you need to learn it. When they said,
Right.
"Oh, bump in your head," I was like, tell me, tell me, Brenda, how did that work for you? So that I can see maybe I could do a little different kind of spin with it. So when you think about
Mm.
what you could do differently, I have no regrets. And I get emotional when I think about it because we've all have gone through
mm,
tough times and times in our period. I told somebody the other day when I was speaking for the Renaissance Entrepreneurship, and I said, I never would forget. There were young people on that call. They got off the call. I said, you know what? I'm going to hang on the call and talk to these businesses. And
mm,
somebody laughed when I told them, I said, I remember back in the day when I was living with my teacher when I first moved out here. I lived with Dr. Cleanscales, and he had a beautiful daughter, Malika. And I never would forget when Emporium Capwell, y'all can go ahead and date it. That's all right. I'm gonna do like Whitney Houston. I
Important.
didn't get to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and date myself. But there were times when money got funky, and I'm like happy just to go get pantyhose. We don't need them now, but I was happy to walk in that store and walk out because of what I had gone through. And
yes.
I've made those same kind of what I call a dollar for desperate dollars. And everybody want to make a deal. And then you want an event that you know is 10 or 15,000, and they still trying to deal with you with 2,500 back in the 70s. And so we have to wonder, like, how did we get there? So now in the mature Cathy and looking from
Mm,
whence I've come, I still believe that even the things that were not so good, even when the business got funky, and then it's not Verizon Wireless, it was Air Torch Paging. I got married, and I was married for about 10 and a half years. And for a minute there, I forgot I had a business. I was focused on getting up in the morning, being happy, making my husband some food. And then at some point, he said, "Well, when are you gonna go back to work?" My friends was calling me like, "Well, girl, what's happening with the business?" I was like, "I'm happy," you know. So, but what I'm saying is, the wake up call came because I was this active person, and I started trying to figure out how can I be this housewife. Well, that wasn't my story. That wasn't my trajectory. And I remember going and out in Orinda and Lafayette and joining the what do they call this, the junior league. And I'm like, I'm not hating on them, but a lot of those women I was working with, husbands was doctors and lawyers, and this was volunteering. And that's how the 100 Black women evolved, because
oh,
I
wow.
Mm.
always wanted to say, when I see something, and I want you guys to listen to this, when
Mm.
you see something you want,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you see something that someone else have, or when
yeah,
you see a sister that's rolling and doing, just figure out how you do it.
yeah.
Don't worry about, because I don't like to use that word, the hate game, but we call them keeping it real.
Mhm.
Haters, and my pastor say, those are my elevators. The more somebody come at me, that's my tree to say to do.
Yes.
I used to go to my mom at the time, and both my parents are no longer here. And I used to tell my mother, I said, well, if they stop bothering me, I'll stop doing stuff. But every time they bother me, that was my fuel. The more
Mhm.
you come at me, I'm trying to do something different. The opposite would be crying and they need to do. So it ain't always been magical. And I think it's important that even as we talk about business, the personal aspect of the things we go through, being beat down, people picking at you. I'm a big, tall woman, but I've had my share. Nobody knew of my pain when
Mm.
I would do these events and come back home and cry And that's when I had to grow up too. I said, I did all this work and the people didn't even thank me. And so my attorney said, well, Cathy, when you left, did they give you an envelope? Did they pay you? I said, yeah, they gave me a check. He said they thanked you. So I had to
That was a way.
so
That
what
was
I had to
perfect.
do, nobody would believe because they see me, and nobody would believe the level of sensitivity. It was my ex-husband who we're still friends. He's, doesn't live here anymore, but I'm a proponent that if you don't have children and you divorce, you should not be trying to be friends with, well, we'll leave that alone. So anyway, I'm
Right.
gonna let you
All right. Well,
regroup.
Kathy, you know what? You are so
Breathe.
powerful and you said so many nuggets. And one thing that through all of that you said, that's why you never lost your passion. You don't you have to give that away. You never lost it. You held on to it, and that's why you're where you're at today. The question I have for you, Kathy, is when did you know that the work you did was truly changing the game for self and others? When did you know that? Not,
When
I mean, when you not when you gave the lollipop to
No,
the
no,
kid.
no. I
That
get
was
it. I
part of
get
it.
it. When I started working at the what was called the Northern California Black Chamber of Commerce. So keep in mind, I was an intern, worked there for like 8 years past that. So what I learned is I was not only volunteering, when Nancy Pelosi, before she became all of this, I would be volunteering. I knew I wanted to do something to give back because I was looking at all of these wonderful women. Carol H. Williams got to California. We still chat. Matter of fact, we chat, well, just exchanged a LinkedIn message last week. And she got here just about the same time that we both got here. And Oscar Coffey, who was my mentor, they were doing all of the things that I still see, and it's game changing. We're fighting some of the same issues that we're fighting, but we're fighting with different people. So when you
Yeah.
ask me, how did I know? Because I was in an area working with people that was always about champion efforts for other. They was doing development. We're still talking about housing. That's a whole nother situation. I'm gonna stay in my lane. But what we were doing, we were advocating for people then, speaking for
Mhm.
people who had no voice in
Ah,
everything that we were doing when we were, fundraising. I will tell you this, it's not something I'm proud of, but back in the 80s, when it was Coors, and we know what happened with Peter Coors, and then it was Philip Morris. So Philip Morris, we know now that we were killing our community and pumping cigarettes in there, but my brain was like, well, they're sponsors. They said, you shouldn't be taking that cigarette money. And I was like, well, if I give this money back, or you're going to put another 25,000 in so we can have scholarships for the children.
right.
So all I'm saying is, whether right, wrong, or otherwise, my focus was always ahead with when we raised the money, whether it was about helping businesses, and I volunteered a lot. I won a Jefferson Award. So even with all of what I'm doing, I still volunteer to this day. And people have walked up to me too when you talk about giving back. I've done an event and I'll get in there, and Dr. Lakita know this, working around and doing stuff, and I'm picking up paper. Somebody walks up to me and they said, well, Cathy, you really shouldn't, as the CEO of the company, you shouldn't be doing all of that. But that's where you make a mistake, because I want to be able to get in the trenches. I want to be able to see what
Yes.
they see. And one thing my
Yes.
boss told me, don't get it twisted. Let me add this to you, because
Yes.
the nuggets that I got, and I'm
Yes.
glad you asked. When I was at the chamber, I was an intern, then I was a public relations assistant. But then, even before I got to that point, I was admin. And I said, well, I can't go back to Meridian, Mississippi and tell these people, that it was like secretary and admin, but I think secretaries make more than admin, but I don't know. I've lost touch. So I was like, secretary. So I called. Now keep in mind, I must have been about 23 at that time. And I called a printing company. Y'all wait for it. Hi, this is Cathy Adams. The company was Folger Graphics. I said, you guys made a mistake on my business card. It should not be secretary. It should not be secretary. It should be administrative assistant. So I called now, call the people, look, call the people now, done change my card. I go in to Mr. Coffee. He gives me my business cards. I opened up my business card and I looked at my business card and he said in his New Orleans voice, he said, young lady, Mr. Folger called me and told me that you called to get your business cards changed. But I want to tell you something, young lady. If you don't do the job, and eventually when you run a business, how much you gonna know if it costs and how much time it take to spend if you ain't did
Yep.
it. So I went from public relations intern, secretary, administrative assistant, convention marketing rep, senior convention marketing rep, and then project manager before later I would go and work for Del Monte in the city. So I'm saying that to say that our jobs sometimes don't always have to get caught up in the title and what they mean. And even when I left the chamber, I'll say this quickly. I went to Del Monte, took a cut in pay. I'd had a situation in my life, a tragic one, and I was where I couldn't think. Mr. Coffee had helped me so much. Even in my opinion, I don't care, I'm gonna say it. If I'd have done half the work I was doing at the chamber, I still would have been in lead. Just gonna say that. So, but I thought about what he deposited into me, and I just couldn't go to work every day looking out the window. I was at Del Monte Corporation, sitting at a console like this. Good morning. Welcome to Del Monte. People would pass me every day. I had a plan because I had to emotionally heal from what I had gone through. And I was there good morning every day, and I had a plan. They tried to promote me. I'm like, I don't want no job. I'm not ready to go upstairs. But then I went upstairs. There was only, Caucasian women upstairs, but I was upstairs on the big floor. But what I learned from that whole piece was the fact that I had a plan. And when they tried to give me a promotion, I said, well, I don't want that job and I'm not quitting. So I had only been at Del Monte. My girlfriend clowned me to this day. I hadn't been at Del Monte a year and negotiated me a 6 month package. CDA started because I didn't want to get unemployment until somebody told me unemployment was the money I worked for. I was like, oh, I don't want that. It's like I'm taking a handout. So I was in my 155 Pearl Street. I would wake up in the morning, my head would hit my desk because it was in the same room. And that's how CDA started. I said, I got 6 months to either start a business or get a job. And Keys Insurance was in City Center in Oakland. And that's how I learned that I didn't want to be a florist, didn't want to set up the bar, didn't want to be the caterer. So I'm a full service, but other people do that. But I learned early on that I didn't want to be there. So, and I created opportunities for people to volunteer. I would tell everybody, when you volunteer, don't shop my clients, get all the work done. Somebody asks you for a card, you give it to her. I was always like that. I'm not blocking what you do. When I worked for my fellow sister Lanice a couple of years ago, and they said, "Oh, you did a great job." Nope, I'm here to help my sister Lanice. Well, you block. Nope, I'm working for Lanice. Lanice did all that. I'm here for support. And we got to learn how to speak that way at the end of the day, because I'm going to throw you shine, you in my circle, whatever you need from me, I'm going to give it to you. We don't have to take, we don't have to be conniving. Just ask me. And if you know it's wrong, don't ask people for stuff that you know ain't right. If don't ever do this. Well, I shouldn't be asking. Well, then you shouldn't.
Listen,
Sorry,
Cathy.
y'all.
No, I want to piggyback because I remember specifically an event that I volunteered with you. And for me, the volunteer opportunity was life-changing because I felt like I learned, and I not felt like I did, I learned 4 to 6 new skills. I think it was with the Pine Saw lady. Remember? The Pine Saw lady. And we were bringing, Pine Saw lady was one, and then you guys brought Ayanala Van Zet. And I ended up getting on stage with Ayana at the Marriott. But here's the thing that you taught me, and I hope that I display that amongst my leadership. You were very much about, we're not here to boast about yourself, but because we saw you not needing to promote even your own self, being the person that they've contracted with, it was the same for me. We learned through the Gloria Cox Crowells, through the Kiara Harris's, H&H Eco Prize. That's how I got that. Through Arnold Perkins and all the people. And so let me ask this question. I think it's powerful. In talking about collaboration, you came in talking about collaboration and inclusion of one another. One of the things I love about leading this group of powerful women in the LDL Empowerment Institute, these women are brilliant. And I'm not just saying it. They are accountants, they are lawyers, they are nurses, they are business women, they are directors of operations, they are lead elders at their churches and things of that nature. Tell us what, for women today, if you had to give 3 major points about women in leadership that can take them from now to their grave, what are the 3 points?
Well, let me see if I can kind of like narrow this down in terms of what you could take is being able, I don't know, everything always goes so personal for me, but being able when you knowledge transfer, being able to learn from individuals that you're working with, um, being able, being able to access the opportunity that when it comes, and being able to understand that, let me just, it's kind of hard for me to put it in one word. So let me see if I can do, is to own your leadership skills, understanding that, you graduated from college, you've worked at this job, and every situation is a new situation. But being able to just access your own personal leadership skills and understand that when I got there, being willing and open to learn with other leaders, because oftentimes they ask me all the times about our millennials. We can learn from each other because at the end of the day, a lot of millennials are going into jobs where older seasoned individuals maybe be kind of transition out, whatever is going on in that area. And I tend to think that sometimes when we are confident, I don't want, and that's a word, be confident in who you are, but not to the point that the arrogance spews, kind of spews over. And like I tell Dr. Lakita, I don't really do a lot of speaking engagements, and I've done more now than often, but I always tell people, because when I do even the interviews and people start talking to me about those things, I only sometimes can talk about the experience and talk about what I see. And then we have to be able to, and I tell them, be able to be a mentor yourself. That's what we're missing right now. We're missing, and then we're missing the mentorship. And a lot of sisters sometimes don't want to mentor some of these young people because sometimes they don't understand the compassion or the kindness. You've been seeing those commercials around, and that's very, very critical. I'm working with a young woman right now, Dr. Long, and I've been knowing her since she was 12 years old and she's 22. I was in a meeting. This is true story. We were having a focus group with 5 of my board members. When I got on the call, she was going to facilitate the Q&A. And I said, you know what, Kiana, I think you should lead our discussion because I'm very passionate about what I do. And y'all have to tell me, Cathy, stop. And I'll get passionate about it and talk too much. That day, I let a 23-year-old lead our focus group preparing for our retreat. And she captured the notes and did all of that. So it's not only what you give into them, we have to know too, you never have to hang your hat up, but we're maturing. So everything I'm doing right now, and she said, it's not about me. It's about what do I want to give and what do I want these young people to take away? So a lot of people say, my younger friends, they'll say, Miss Adams, why all your friends are younger than you? I said, well, don't get it twisted. If you wasn't mature, because I ain't got time to be hanging out with 33-year-olds. It's okay. It's their level of maturity, but we're learning from each other. because I don't hardly know no songs. I just go, ooh, that sounds good. But they helped me through that pack. So I don't want to stray away, but it's kind of hard for me to kind of like break the three main down. But I just think it's just when you talk about what can you leave with them, it really is not a one shoe fit all. I think in my experience, situations have been different. So I have to share this because this is important. Because remember, I told you I went through a lot of pain. As an intern at the chamber, we were booking conventions and trade shows. Let's fast forward. Maybe this time I'm about 25 now. It was Ivy's and all of that down in Jack London Square. We had a fam tour, and you guys wait for it because I think this is very critical because it's going to teach us how not to react, even when you want to cry and fall out and you feel like you've been disrespected. I wouldn't tell you something I wouldn't do. And I'm just telling you, take a deep breath before we react. We're so quick to the trigger and we got to watch that. So here I am, 25 years old. We're on a bus. There are about two buses, maybe 50, 75 people, head of sororities, all of the organizations in Washington, D.C. that do conventions and trade shows. We're not doing as much as that anymore, but all the conventions will come in. We were booking them. We're on the bus. We get off. It's noon now. I've been going since 7 that morning. I'm in Ivy's. I wish I had something to hold in my hand. And I get in line to get some food. The young woman walks over, snatched the plate out of my hand, and she says, "Guests eat first, staff eats last." I didn't say anything. A sister from Atlanta, who I don't remember, she walked over to me and she said, "You know what, young lady, you are going to go far in your career." And I said, "What do you mean, holding back the tears?" She said, "Because if that blah, blah, blah has snatched that plate out of my hand like that, oh, girl." I went in the bathroom, got my tears together, and it's one of them, one of them traumatized cries. But I went in the bathroom and I cried. Later on that week, Mr. Coffee came to me. He said, "Young lady, I just want to tell you that I'm really proud of how that you handled the situation. I heard about that and just want to say how proud you were." So 6 years, fast forward. I didn't hold it. I just didn't forget it. You heard what I said? I didn't hold it, but I didn't forget it. So now I'm the project manager. That person came to my desk. "Juanita didn't eat today and blah, blah, blah." And I stood up with my tall self from behind that desk. I said, "Listen, she's a grown woman and don't you ever," this is the same woman that did that to me. And I waited 6 years. So it's almost not, what I'm saying is I didn't have a voice for myself. And I felt violated when that happened. And I think as you're talking about, when you're asking me about the things to do, I would add a word, not to overreact, even in the midst when you know you've been disrespected at your job, when you know about systemic racism and how we've been marginalized. And it's not easy to fight when you're under emotion. But I'm here to tell you today that you take a deep breath. You won't forget. And sometimes we have to go and cry in our tears and we figure out how to reboot because we don't want to deal with the narrative. We want to write our own narrative. I have a problem with people saying Black women are loving. We take care of our families. We even let the children stay in the house till they 35 years old, whatever. We got to do what we got to do, but we're loving people. And so don't make it because we're reacting to a situation that we're mean, because we're not mean. Because we're not. And I hate for somebody, well, they don't use the word mean, they use the word angry. I'm expressing myself. And then so anyway, let me stop. Like I told you, I'm not good at this.
No, you're doing,
I just,
Excellent.
you're doing
I'm
great.
just,
You're doing great. And for those who are just chiming on, we're speaking to Miss Cathy Adams, who is the Executive Director, CEO of the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. She's also the founding member and co-founder of the 100 National Black Women of America. what she was sharing was her 3 points that she would like to share about women leadership. And just in case you didn't get it, she stated the following. Number one, that knowledge should be transferable, that you should have the capability and the accessibility to learn from others. Number two, she says you have to learn how to access the opportunity. And number three, you need to understand how to be able to own your own leadership skills. And the way to be able to do that is to be mentored and to be a mentor. So I just wanted to give you that drop for those who are just chiming in. Miss Brenda, your next question.
You know, I'm probably going to go off the cuff a little bit because she's so powerful, Dr. Lakita, and she's so humble. And your spirit is so gracious, and I just love it. And so you are what makes people a everyday history maker. You are. And my question to you is a little bit different because when you talk about mentorship and you talk about taking time to mentor others, when you have a busy schedule such as us, and you know you still have to make time because it's who you are, it's what's in you to do because you want to see others succeed. Where do you find the time to do it, and how do you do it? And I'm just a little bit off because I know I'm probably asking that for myself,
No,
but
it's a good question. And I'm going to tell you how I do it. It's called peace. It's called peace. I can do more when I'm not worked up with this extra noise that's in my ear. Being able to clean off in your plate for the things that are not working. I've had things in my life that I know wasn't right, and I kind of, you know what you feel, and you say this is not working. You know, they have a song, can you add? It's not always about giving to get, but when I start thinking about that time, I balance because, and I don't have no schedule, and I'm gonna join y'all because the diva need to get on a plan with y'all. So I didn't answer my questions, but I am gonna circle back and get on the plan. So I just want to throw that out there. So how you do it is the balance, and I don't want to sound so cliche. You just gotta say no, no. You start doing the things that make sense for you to do. Hey, I would love to go over here to see my friends on Saturday. Oh, the powerful women of the Bay. Because even when you guys asked me, I said, oh, powerful women of the Bay is on Friday. But I said, the fact that they asked me is an honor. Like I tell people, it's good to be asked. Like, it's good to be asked. So when you guys asked me that, because I was like, but what you did, you made me prepare. You made me do more work on Saturday to be ahead of the curve. And the only thing we got to do now is email folks their final stuff. And it's showtime at the Apollo. Because I was thinking, no, listen, I was thinking, oh, why did I decide to do this? And when they connected me, and then I realized who it was, I'm like, girl, we doing this. So when it's really balanced, and it's all the way down to how you make your relationships count, even with your friends, getting together, how you go there, how you come back. Because, like I tell people, I work every day. So every time I take away from my day hours, I'm going to make those up at the end of the night. Entrepreneurship is not you just run around and do everything. So when you say how I do it with the chamber, I loved helping people. I loved raising that money to help people. I love the fact that I didn't get to feel bad around COVID because I was busy that entire year trying to help people pivot. And every time they called me on the phone, I tried to say, well, can they talk to the membership person? That was brave for me to do Let's Connect because I didn't want it to be a session where people complain. But the reason I had to do it is because people need to be able to say what they feel, and they need to be able to share that. And it ain't always peachy keen.
yeah.
I'm telling you that, and I don't want to always have to insert something else, but I say to people, you don't know somebody's story. So what is working for me, Brenda, right now is peace. Y'all, I'm going here. You got people in your life right now that don't need to be there. Don't make an announcement. if they're not giving you a kind word, they're not coming to help you spiritually, they're not coming to say, hey, girl, I know you got a lot on your plate. I cooked some extra today. I'm going to do a drive-by and drop it by there. When my space let up with extra, don't even make an announcement. I was on Cheryl Grant thing one day. I said, just do the moonwalk, just leave. When they realize that you're gone, they'll know it. People don't have the capacity. And this is another one too. And don't take this the wrong way. You want to know how I make it work? Don't feed on everything that people have to say. If people are talking to you and you know it's crazy, and they say, you know what, I was looking at the sky today and it looks red. You know what? I looked at it, it looks blue, but I can kind of see the red. So if you crazy enough to talk, and they'll stop. And then you ain't got to ask to everything. Look into who you are. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? Get your spiritual peace. I said to my pastor, I said, Pastor, I feel disconnected sometimes on these Zoom calls, and I just want to touch church. I went to a funeral, and that's the first time I've had communion since March. Lost one of our sisters. But somebody emailed me and they said, oh, I enjoyed your eulogy. Well, I didn't take offense to that because I got up there and spoke from the heart about what that sister did. And then telling her grandkids over here, you're going to cry. But who you are today is because of who she was, and you're going to be fine. And you're going to rise up and you're going to be okay. So I'm saying it wasn't about preaching because I've lost two parents. So I know what that feels like. But you know why I don't cry and only praise and joy? Because when you're obedient and you treat your parents how you need to do, the ones falling in the casket, you didn't treat people right. So we can sit up here, I don't want to get emotional, and talk about this business all day long. Nothing is going to work for us until we learn how to be more kind. And then tell them, if you ain't got the money when y'all doing business, don't speak for me. Hey, Cathy, I need. Hey, Cathy, do you mind? So my piece, young lady, is clearing out what don't matter. I go to sleep at night. This is the first time in a long time where I am just at such a place of peace.
Yes.
And when you look at people, I said to somebody, I said, listen, I worked with you. You made, this is no point into it, it's a situation. And don't be trying to go figure out who she talking about. Just stay with what I'm doing. Don't even try to go there. I went to the person and I said, I got such joy out of the work that I did, but you caused me so much pain. You made me cry. You made me feel bad. And I don't like how you made me feel. And I took a time out in the break. And then as the year was ending, I called that person and the person said to me, they said, I was scared because I had taken on a project that I was questioning whether or not I could do it. I said, but you know me. All you had to do was say, you know what, Cathy, I done took this on. I know we trying to do this. I need some help. And what it is that we got to be able to be naked with one another. I'll tell you right now, I ain't tripping when y'all was fooling with that Zoom. I get mad. Microsoft's team. You know, I just only know how to do Zoom. Don't be doing all that. It's okay because what I'm saying is that we got stuff going on and we don't need the extra. So I'm saying to you, if nothing else, if you guys don't hear nothing out there right now, and I'll leave the spiritual piece to my Dr. Long, but I will tell you this. I will tell you this. Find a place of peace. Find a place where you're settling. Find joy in what it is that you do. It doesn't matter who the people you work with. Bring them up to where you are. Help them to see themselves without you telling them. And a friend of mine called me. She said, I just want to tell you that I got rid of my, I ain't trying to mess nobody's business up. It is about planning on how we plan this financial piece. And she says, Cathy, I called to tell you that I got rid of my housekeeper and I'm going to let my spa treatments go for a minute until I kind of build up the bank. And she said, you said it so nicely. I heard you, because what I'm saying to you is that at the end of the day, we can't be out there even doing all of these things because stress sometimes, let's be real clear,
Mhm.
we cause it to ourselves.
Mhm.
We do it to ourselves. That's what we do. So when you want to find your peace and balance, you go to that quiet room, however you want to do it, and you have to ask yourself, what do I want? See, like I tell people, my story is this: if I ain't got it, because I don't want it. Because if I want it, I'm going to work and figure out how to get it. My
Yes.
girlfriend had a Mercedes. I had just bought her, I was in my late 20s. And my girlfriend had bought a Mercedes. I had a brand new Altima, didn't want the car. And at the end of the day, because I had a Pinto, right? And I valet parked in it, but I didn't want the car when I got it. And I was like, I ain't driving that car. I ain't driving that car. And I got my butt and I went to Lucky's down in Lakeshore.
Yes.
And I would take cabs because I was too cute. I didn't do buses. I don't even know if I still know how to ride a bus. Yeah, I don't do buses. I would pay in my 20s to get cabs to go to work. And a friend of mine say, well, you need this car and I'm gonna get this car for you. The car was parked in my driveway stall at 155 Pearl Street. And y'all wait for it. That'll help us stop tangible to all these things. And I said, I went to Lucky's, got back and forgot about something. I grabbed my keys and I'm like, I'm just gonna drive this car one time, but I'm never gonna drive it again. I got to Lucky's, came back, looked at my watch. I said, this ain't bad. And how about they had an event at here in J. Kaiser, and I valet parked with my meat coat on in the Pinto. So all I'm saying to you, it makes me mad sometimes because people don't know me. It's like when you're focused and you're doing what you need to do, because I'm telling you, I was at church, guys, first day in the years ago, because I'm at BB. And I walked up to the woman and the woman was crying. And I went over to the sister and I said, oh, yes, the sermon was so moving. She said, that's not why I'm crying. And I said, sister, what's going on? She said, I don't want to hate you no more.
Wow.
And I said, sister, I don't know you. What is your name? I don't know you. What could I have possibly done to you for you to not want to hate me, period? And she said, well, when you was down at the Oakland Convention Center, and I'm in church, I'm gonna keep it holy, and I kept it holy then. She said, when I had a booth when you was at the Oakland Convention Center, and I said hi, and you said hello. I want to say, fool, I didn't know you. I was 27 years old.
and listen, we're laughing because we know one of the things that I think, Cathy, that is that I'm laughing, but I'm actually crying too, is that we have a beautiful host of women, a part of the LDL Empowerment Institute. And I firmly believe that whatever is in a thing, an over a thing is what's going to move through a thing. Everything about what I'm trying to do is it's got to be about God. It's got to be about pushing people, but it's got to be about the true love. I do indeed love women. And so there are a lot of perpetrators who are empowering women, but they don't like women because they don't like themselves. I mean, Jesus said it nicely. You love your neighbor as you love yourself, the first commitment. And people don't. One of the things I love about you is that whether you are wrong or right, you in a midst of 500 people or 1,000, you will get up there. If the keynote is not ready, you said, go ahead and keep eating your salad. We're going to wait just a little bit longer, and you just keep it moving. And I think that one of the things that you said is so powerful, and that what's resonating for me, and I don't know for Brenda and maybe for the other ladies and those that are watching by Facebook, is the realness of being you. Yes. I think we are not the billionaires we want to because we still haven't figured out it's okay to be all of you. Wherever things didn't really change for me until I decided I'm going to be all of me. So maybe around about 2004 is when it really started kind of changing. But I've been doing this for so long. But when you start to decide that you're not trying to do something and you're just becoming that thing, it changes the game. People used to say your charisma's too much, you're too on, you're too hype, nobody's that happy, nobody. But if they knew the pain and the hell I've gone through, the humiliation, the degradation, the rejection, the abandonment, they would understand. I don't live there. It's not my narrative. And as my sister, who's got her new book coming out, Vernice Cooper, about vacating Victimsville, get the book. And she's a licensed marriage family therapist, and she says we got to exit Victimville. When you come from a space, then you no longer, her name is Vernice Cooper, you no longer will live there. And sometimes I think you said it, and you let me know, Brenda, because you've been in corporate America, you just retired, 30 years, corporate America. And that's one of the things I appreciate too. You came aboard with LDL and Walk It Off Girl, and she runs her department like she's getting 6 figures and then some. And
we're going to bless you guys with some money and figure out what it is that we are doing. And you guys are 501c3, right?
The nonprofit is
no, but look, let me work on something. Just email me.
Work on something.
Yeah, just email me the nonprofit, because I don't even want to spend a whole time talking, to me, because I feel like what you've shared and the things you're talking about, I'm just trying to say to people that for the most part, because I love to laugh. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry. And I'm loud. I'm only quiet as we're, in church or the ballet or the symphony. But I'm just me. And people would go to events and they'll say, "Where's Cathy?" They say, "Wait for a minute." I'm over there laughing. So I want to say to you, I do want to share something that I feel really honored about. And it was an opportunity that I had. And this is what I'm talking about. I had the opportunity to be on the call with Vice President Kamala Harris, and I was one of 4 people that got to ask a question. They had not been in office 30 days. Mm-hmm. And I was glad that I was on the conversation to have a talk around the American Rescue Plan, which passed $1.9 trillion. And I got to ask a question about my community, which I felt that the vice president answered. I emailed the people because, I got invited to the party. So when they were there trying to get a distinguished group of leaders, I emailed the White House, "Hey, I'm going to be on the call tomorrow. If there's some space, I'd like to add these people." Now, I added a few people, and instead of them saying, "Okay," because I cheesed the whole time. I couldn't sleep the whole night. And I said, "Well, I know the vice president. I can't go with that talking about, 'Hey, girl.'" But anyway, I couldn't sleep the whole night. And then when they got on the prep call, they said, "Well, I'm sorry, but the question you asked, you can't ask the question." I said, "I've been thinking about this question all night. I went to sleep. I couldn't even sleep." I'm telling the White House people, I'm telling y'all how real I am. They're telling me, "Well, you got to do another question." I said, "Well, it's 10 minutes to 12. And I'm really, really nervous because somebody email it so I can get my mind right." Now the people telling me what they're doing, and I'm telling them how they're going to do this to me. That's the realness. So the good part is I was able to get maybe about 10 people to join the call. Wow. Here's the first thing I got. And first of all, let me just say this. When the vice president, and I was in this space, the vice president, and I had to have somebody come, my tech person, because I said, it ain't gonna be but 2 minutes, but I said, "I'm just nervous, I can't move. I just need you to be here. Anything can happen. You getting paid, just be here." So basically, she gets on the phone and she goes, "Hey, Cathy Adams," I just went, just cheesing. But the part was, I invited somebody to come along. We got to reach back and gave them. And one person said, "Well, I don't think she answered the question." And I said, "I think she answered the question. And we've been dealing with, we ain't doing politics for blah, blah, blah for 4 years and got nothing. And that's all you got." So I'm saying, when you're invited to the party, be in the party, be obedient, shut your trap, Enjoy the moment so you can be invited again.
Holla. That is the deal. Listen, we have a few more moments, but what we would
Okay.
like to do, no, I want to see if we can open up to some of the other ladies that's a part of our Zoom community. We have some wonderful women, and you guys know how we do it with our LDL Empowerment Institute. You can raise your hand, and then our administrative support will assist us if there are any questions that you might want to ask Miss Cathy Adams. Please feel free to do that at this time. You can raise your hand, and then our tech folks will make sure that you know. And while they're getting possibly some questions, this is your time to ask some questions. I tell you one thing that I think I love about this moment. We kind of created a thing called Everyday History Makers. So we didn't want to leave anybody out. So that's my heart. We know that this is International Women's Month, but we need to honor those that never get honored, that are doing amazing things every single day. These are the things I learned also being around you and Kiara Harris. I remember when she got the contract to do work all the way in Ghana. And I was like, whoa, and I was 22. And she said, listen, you're smart, you're brilliant, but don't drop the ball and do not have poor follow through, because I will let you go. And so that you guys rally, and Penelope Larry, and I got a chance to meet Carol H. Williams. We are trying to get her to fill our last spot, but I know she's so busy.
We'll work on it. Send me the letter.
Brenda, send her the letter. Yes.
Send me the letter and just say, dear Miss Williams, dear Carol.
Yes.
And let me work on that because that's the part that's so wonderful about Carol H. Williams, is that she's boss. She's a boss.
Yes, she is boss.
And she's never strayed back. And I did an intern. I know I didn't do an intern. I had a small contract with her. This is another thing I want you guys to learn too. I learned early on from her that when they would get these big million, because some people are like, ooh, they got $1 million contracts. There's a lot that's got to come out of that contract. Yes. But what I learned from her early on in the game, that if somebody tell you, Cathy, we're going to get you $1 million contract, well, I got to think hard to make sure I can get access to funding, because what happens is, to our Black businesses, you get these contracts, but you got to be able to hold the paper. And that's what we're working on, which I didn't touch, working with the city around this disparity study. And they wasn't going to release that study. And honey, we worked on that. And, and it's all about the systemic racism, about us not getting contracts. So we had a press conference, baby, demanded that the city, the mayor, release it. The press conference was in November. It was at 11 o'clock. They released the study at 11:50. I got a call that morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. They said, Cathy, the council members say, they're going to release the study. I said, I don't care. I ain't trusting nobody. It ain't in my hand. I ain't seeing it. Oh, we have in this press conference. And what I'm saying is that we fight strategically. So now, when I said, oh Lord, I'm tired, now I'm on a committee with the department heads that make the contract. We're having a meeting, and I told them straight up, I said, listen, people don't believe y'all. They feel like they competing and they ain't getting the contracts. And I said, and I'm not going to tell those people that I'm on a Zoom call. I can think of better things to do with my time. So what I said to them, because a couple of people called me, I said, look, I'm going to dial it down a bit, but here are these 50 questions that I need y'all to answer. So when we come to the meeting, let's just get them together. I'm not being flippant about what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we're going to absolutely advocate for our Black businesses, whether we need to come see you, Dr. Lakita, we've got to get business ready as businesses. And we got to stop messing around. Being an entrepreneur is fine. But if you are an entrepreneur and you ain't got nothing to preneur, why are you an entrepreneur?
And you said it so, I mean, it is my heart's desire. It took a long time for me to take the guts, but even as a student at Cal Berkeley, it was always my desire, Cathy, that I believe that you can merge the secular information with the sacred and really make major impact. And I just had the guts. After many years, I was just like, I had to. So August 16th, 2018, I resigned from my job, and I didn't look back. I always had 2 foot in the door and all this, but it was a learning experience, because if you can't trust God to help you with $1,000, you will not trust God for the million. And I always needed 1,000 or 2 or 3. So God had to make sure that my perspective didn't change, that my inspiration wasn't based upon the fact that the conference was full. I moved when the conference was not full 4 days before. I mean, I got so many testimonies. 4 days, and we had 20 people, but we set up, we got people flying in from all across the country, 4 days. People just believed my word. And I was like, I'm $6,000 short. But I tell you, when you obey, you said it earlier, when you obey God's plan for your life, I'm telling you, people said, hey, I saw your billboard by the Oakland airport, Dr. Lakita. Whoa, I just sent your cash app, because anybody, that's what she told me. Anybody bold enough to put their stuff on a billboard before you hit the Oakland airport, I need to sew in that. She sent $1,500. I'm gonna cry. Let me share. See, I just want to encourage everyday history makers. You can't stop because you don't see the dollars. But I firmly believe at this juncture in time, from the time of 2020 on the next 5 years, I think I'm a part of helping people become sound. The 3 core values of my organization is sobriety, discipline, and intentionality. I believe it is time that we get sober, disciplined, and intentional about be a business mogul. You want to be a billionaire? Let's figure out how we get there. First of all, you don't climb on my head and put me in the dirt. I'm gonna help you get there if you want to get there.
And Dr. Long, while I got it, I want to bless you.
Right.
We sent $1,500 for your billboard. And on behalf of Powerful Women of the Bay, which would be Friday, we would like to donate $1,500 to you.
Whoa. Oh my God.
We would like to do that for you.
Oh my God.
And I wish I could do more, but like I said, it's a start. It's a start.
We'll take the start. We'll take the start. Nosotros te acordamos para enviar.
Cash out, send me the thing, PayPal. I said it, I'm gonna do it. But no, thank you so much. What you're saying to me, I needed the spiritual moment in what you're saying. And we cannot, because I know sometimes people have their, religion, their faith barriers, but you can't do nothing without God. And when I started trusting God, everything happened. And a lot of things we do on faith. People say sometimes said, oh, why do you always get nervous? You know everything gonna turn out right. When you get to the point you feel like, I got this, it's gonna be all right, that's when it's going down. Because it's that edge, and people don't pay no attention to me. Like you said, we prayed about it, and we say, we have in this conference, people gonna come. I've had them stories too. It was 100 Black men. The thing about they big time. I play it like 7. They are big time. And baby, it'll be like a week before. And I was like, this thing gonna work out, girl. And it went from 400 people to when they had Frank Belton Mays to over 1,500 plus. And when I tell people, I ain't no preacher, but I know I have an anointingness on my life in terms of what I believe and what I do. And like I tell people, I ain't gonna harm nobody. And even as chatty and laughing as I am, when you come for people, hey, be aware. And we don't even want to live our lives like that, And I tell people with the laughter and stuff, and that's another thing, Brenda, is tuning that out. Somebody said, oh my God, I don't worry about that no more. I'm not crying anymore about what somebody say, because I trust God, and God has ordered my footsteps, and everything that I do and have done is because of him. So I can't tell you how to have your faith, but I can tell you that you need to believe and understand that how you gonna commit somebody to something and you ain't committed.
Amen.
Listen, and it ain't my job. It ain't our job to fund your dreams. It's our dream. It's our job to elevate your dreams.
Elevate. I will help anybody, but if you're unwilling to help yourself, and listen, we can go on and on because you are a sister girl. And so one of the things that I just want to say on behalf of just the whole entire LDL Empowerment Institute, all those that work alongside with me, the executive team, the events team, Brenda Moppins, and just all the stuff that we've planned out. Thank you for making history for us today. I was so excited when Brenda Moppins, she said yes. And I promise you, I acted like you were Michelle Obama. And that's that piece. I come from humble beginnings. I'm going to stay humble because I know that if I stay humble, God will exalt me in his due time. And I know that if we trust God, he said that he will in no wise leave us nor forsake us. And because it's God that brought us even to this place in marketplace, in the secular, he gives us the power and the authority to speak well, to live well, and to do well. And I'm not going to preach because they know how I get, right? Every now and then a blessing will fall.
I'm saying preach.
But I feel
I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming.
And I feel the urgency. And for those that are watching out there in Facebook land who have been a support to anything that I've done from mental health in the church, LDL Empowerment Institute, Walk It Off Girl, listen, the support is one thing. What we really want, what I want, what Cathy Adams wants is a call to action. Don't let your latter year be not like what your former year was. Let your latter years be your best years. Wake up invigorated. Decide today. If you overweight, join Walk It Off Girl. You will get the weight off.
Walk it off.
Yes, honey. People have lost 40 pounds, ain't on insulin. Down, one lady was 25 pills, down to 8 medicines. The Lord is at hand right now, but you got to get up off of your behind and do something. Get up off your behind and do something. So get up off your behind. So we're excited, and we thank you so much, Miss Cathy Adams. Last words that you want to share, and people are chiming into the chat room saying they're a witness about what God has done through the program. And I'm not going to cry because I know the pain in the process too. And I think the wonderful scripture says it like this: many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of them all. And my foot would have slipped had it not been for the Lord, David said.
Amen.
So in those times and seasons,
Amen.
we trust God. Miss Brenda, do you have anything else to say before Miss Cathy says our last words?
If I say something, Cathy is probably going to speak even more so and so eloquently as she has. I just want to thank you for being the fabulous trailblazer, God-fearing woman that you are. You have touched my soul, and I truly appreciate you so much, and know that I will be in contact. Okay.
Yes. So we can sum it up, and thank you. And like I said, support the program that these ladies are putting it together. You can always drop me a note, tell me specifically what the needs are, how we can help. And I sincerely believe that. And I'm just not saying it, but in terms of support this program, number one. And I want each of you that are on this call, whether you're on Facebook, trust God and trust the process. Trust God, trust the process, and just operate with a clean spirit and a clean heart. There is enough for all of us to go around, and all you got to do is ask. I don't know everything, but I know how to go find it. It took a team, but I'm feeling pretty confident. If we could raise $1 million in 90 days, I'm sure I can find $2 somewhere.
Come on here. Listen, you heard it from her mouth to your heart. Listen, trust God and the process. And one of the things we say here at LDL Empowerment Institute, it's a place where learning never ends, but we always hope to point you to the truth. Listen, if you're not a part of LDL Empowerment Institute, you're missing a whole vibe. We are a whole vibe energy, and it's not our energy. We trust God to help us, even in the marketplace, that we might be our best so you can be your best. Man, God bless you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Love you so much. Our admin support to all of you. Until the next time, remember, every day is a good day if you keep looking up to the Lord. Much love. God bless and much blessings.
Thank you, guys.